As auto engineers, we often talk about trust. We always assume the responsibility of being trusted by consumers. But what does trust mean to consumers? How will we gain consumers' trust as an automaker?
Cubing technology was first imported by Chery into China. We have already established a completed process, and this has allowed Chery to achieve a higher level in collaboration when producing a car. Put simply, our job is to report errors to design department, while guiding the specifications of the general assembly process. In my opinion, the standard for judging the quality of a car is not about whether the car-wide minimum gap is 0.1 millimeter, but whether every single gap is 0.1 millimeter. Meisterbach and cubing testing methods are world-leading technologies that have been on the rise over the past few years. But we pioneered employing testing methods that were used exclusively for luxury cars on every Chery car. Precise measurements ensures that every gap between components is perfectly matched and at 0.1 millimeter. In other areas, we may emphasize experience, but here we trust figures. For all measurements, our tolerance level for gaps is absolutely less than 1 millimeter. This is even so for small areas which are normally difficult for users to observe. We will also optimize the gaps that do not reach the target value, ensuring the overall uniformity of every joint when they're out of sight. While developing this car, we continuously stepped in our customers' shoes to feel the car. We hope it is pleasant to the sight and touch of every customer. Trustworthy quality comes from the refinement of every detail.
Sound insulation is not, as many people think, merely about thickening sound insulation, but rather a huge project that involves more than 3,000 components in the car. Our NVH lab is not only the #1 in China, but also the #1 test lab in Asia. For us, NVH performance is essentially a key indicator of driving comfort and has also generally become an important criterion of our car quality evaluation. Chery's NVH lab includes 8 of the finest labs. In terms of space and scale, it is the #1 NVH lab in China and Asia. The test is not only a sound test, it is more about coordination and balance. Each test is not just to test sound, more importantly, it is a test of inter-department coordination and communication. This is where the core of Chery's V-shaped positive development system lies. For us, the NVH test not only aims to reduce vibration and noise, but provide Chery customers with a car that has the best sound quality. Whether a car is good or not is not dependent on whether the sound is muted to 38 decibels, but on whether it is still at that level after 3 to 5 years of driving. Noise can come from anywhere. It can come from the AC, the air intake and exhaust system, high pressure rail, or belt tensioner. It is common for us to identify the source of noise within over 3,000 components. Each time we research and develop a new car, we need over 100 engineers to repeatedly test and adjust through a process of trial and error, correction, and verification. Only then do our cars achieve a mute effect of less than 38 decibels, which is better than joint venture brands. We do all of this in order to get rid of the unpleasant wind and AC noises to provide the entire driving space and every passenger of a Chery car with a driving experience that is an auditory pleasure. Trust is about eliminating every single superfluous decibel of noise.
We carry out all sorts of crash tests in this lab every single day. These tests are used to simulate all kinds of traffic accidents that users could experience in real traffic situations. This lab was established in July 2010 with a total floor space of 32,000 square meters. It's one of the largest testing labs in Asia. We are able to complete all of the tests required by Chinese, European, and North American laws and regulations in our lab, as well as China's C-NCAP and Europe's Euro NCAP tests. This is second to none in China. Currently, Chery has over 100 people in its safety research and development team. This is very far ahead of the others in China. I always like to tell our new engineers that when you choose to research and develop safety performance, in fact, you have chosen to undertake a promise. We are not only doing these tests for legitimation, but it is truly for the safety of our customers. When designing the Arizo 7, we referred to standards from the IIHS for what we call a 25% offset frontal rigid barrier collision. We did over 50 crash tests before it went to market in order to make sure that it achieves 5-star safety standards. Since July 2010, we have completed over 2,000 tests of different kinds, among which nearly 600 tests were for the entire vehicle. This is a true case, as a customer in Luoyang, Henan Province, tried to avoid an incoming car from the wrong direction. He crashed into a lamppost on the side of the road at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour. When the driver and front passenger got out of the car safely, that was the strongest affirmation of our safety design. Trustworthy quality is not only developed for standards, but for the safety of the customers.
Chinese people understand Chinese roads. Chinese chassis should be adjusted by Chinese people. Trustworthy quality is not blind internationalization, but localizing according to China's own situation. Chinese roads are unique. We can't blindly adopt Western standards, and we certainly cannot just copy and paste here. I once read that Chinese people are burning the most expensive petrol, paying the world's most expensive highway toll fees, and yet are driving on the world's worst and most congested roads. Although it is just a joke, it is worth our deep consideration. Equipment for chassis adjustment costs as much as 25 million yuan just to provide high-level performance for Chinese consumers. Our K&C test platform simulates chassis steering system and suspension systems. It simulates the steering, braking, acceleration, and incline movements of the entire car. Every time we develop a new car, we need to test it about 20 times. The test process takes 48 hours, while the industry standard is only about 45 times. The test lab is just a tool. It has to serve people. We have to be people-oriented and consider them the starting point. We not only understand Chinese people's lives, but the actual road conditions here. What we want to do is to make an excellent car for every ordinary Chinese person. Trust is ensuring that every road condition can be handled with ease.
Who says China cannot make the best vehicles? This is a belief driving us forward and intended to gain your trust. We are building trustworthy vehicles today to make every Chinese proud tomorrow. Chery Automobile, faithful to your trust.